Make sure you subscribe to our channel by clicking on the red subscribe button. And to never miss another lecture from Miracle, hit the bell icon to get regular updates on English literature.
Hello and welcome to Miracle English Language and Literature Institute. Today we are going to take a short story written by Katherine Mansfield. Yes, Katherine Mansfield, whose real name was Kathleen Mansfield Murray, who was born in New Zealand and who was a modernist writer who later on settled in the United States and became friends with D.H. Lawrence and Virginia Woolf. She was a prolific writer and wrote many beautiful short stories. She died very young at the age of 34 due to tuberculosis and fatal pulmonary hemorrhage. She was the part of the dawn of English literature, shared by T.S. Eliot, Virginia Woolf, James Joyce, and she was much impressed and inspired by the Russian playwright and short story writer Anton Chekhov. Katherine did not give any conventional plot to her stories. She was unconventional this way. The plot was secondary, according to the moods of the character. She rather concentrated on one moment, the crisis, the turning point, which takes the story ahead and which rather conveys all the sequences. So let's take up our story for today, Feuille the Album. It is a short story which was published in 1917 in the New Age under the title of An Album Leaf. Feuille the Album. Feuille means the leaf of an album. Album, the page in the album. Let me brief you the story in my own words. Feuille the Album, or An Album Leaf, is a story of a young painter, Ian French, who lives in seclusion, a solitary life. He does not allow anyone to peep inside his private life, so people become more and more curious, and he is the talk of the town. The encroachment to his mysterious life is many times tried. Women want to help him out with various gestures at different occasions. One of them wants to offer him motherly care, but her maternal care is ignored. The second one wants to seduce him to fall in love, but to her dismay, he does not reciprocate. The third one invites him to a pub to get intimate after he's drunk, but then her efforts also go waste. All three occasions prove hopeless. People often make a guess that he looks like a runaway child, but his lifestyle is very contrary to their speculations. He lives in a very beautiful apartment, all things tidily kept, clean, spick and span. His studio where he paints has a window which allows him his large and various subjects to paint. His apartment gives a picture of a still life. Hardly you can see anything move from here to there. He wears simple clothes. He has a window which opens to another apartment in front of him, which has two windows. One opens to a kitchen and other to a living room probably. So one day, the window opposite to his apartment opens and a young girl of his age appears there with a pot of daffodils. The girl then disappears, but he is stunned by her beauty and presence. She appears again, this time talking to someone. She wore a large dark pinafore and pink ribbon. Her dress is almost the same every time she comes near the window. He speculates that she talks to her mother, who is probably invalid, and her father being dead. He then imagines both of them together in an argument where he concludes that she has a bad temper, but then he still feels attracted to her more and more. He finds out that this girl goes for grocery shopping on Thursdays. So this Thursday, when she leaves her house, he follows her and watches all her moves with admiration. Her decent composure, careful selection of grocery fascinated him. He finds her perfect for himself, as he had a dislike towards fluttery women and also older women. He follows her throughout her shopping and now makes a big move. He stops her and says, Mademoiselle, you drop this, and gives her an egg. And the story ends abruptly. Let's apply a critical approach to understand this short story better. It begins abruptly as it ends abruptly. The very first sentence says, he really was an impossible person. See the abrupt beginning. The character is not introduced at all. And immediately the characteristic of the character is told to the readers. So they are in a dilemma that who is impossible here? And then slowly the character is revealed that he is a painter, lives in a studio, but still he has a life of seclusion. He lives in solitude. No one knows anything about him. So big people are more and more curious about him. Many people, many women, they try to seduce him, but then they fail. And every time the failure of their approach is denoted by the word hopeless. After every paragraph, the failure is denoted by hopeless, hopeless, hopeless. 3 times it is repeated in the story. So you can well understand that he is a rigid personality who cannot be approached so easily. But then it goes so naturally that when the window in front of his apartment opens, he falls in love with the girl of his age whom he does not know at all. See the pace of the story which binds the interest of the reader. So, this way, this is the indirect approach of the writer. And there are interior monologues which gives you the mental picture of the character and also the psychological picture. His thoughts, they reveal his personality. There are so many figures of speech used in the story. The plot is totally unconventional. There is no plot at all. And the statements are very suggestive in nature. He says that the girl is of his age. That means he is denying all other women who had ever tried to come near to him. And his nature is very implicit. He doesn't reveal more of himself at all. The language or the narration is oblique, it is not direct. Therefore, some readers may find it difficult to understand whose linguistic and literary experiences are limited. Although the protagonist is very dry, very boring, doesn't open to anyone, still he has the emotional content in him. He is romantic by nature because as soon as he sees the girl uh, in front of his window, he falls in love immediately. The narration is very lucid, very picturesque, gives you the realistic picture. When it says that the 2 big windows face the water, he could see the boats and the barges swinging up and down, and the fringe of an island planted with trees. And also, you could see the tops of huge umbrellas with frills of bright flowers escaping from them. There are hidden layers of meanings in the story, and when it reveals that on the wall beside the bed, on the level with your eyes, when you were lying down, there was a small, neatly printed notice, get up at once. So this is written in block letters, get up at once. What does it indicate? It indicates a very strict, very disciplined life lived by the painter. There are instances of interior monologue revealed through the thoughts of the boy. When he looked down his window, he used to see some trees and used to wonder what kind of trees were they. And also, when he used to see the girl all alone and nobody else, he thought that who all lived with her. And then he imagined that maybe her mother was invalid and her father dead. He also imagined a life with her. He also manipulated the dialogues between them in his mind. They used to have a lot of quarrel, and he found out that she had a bad temper. And then they had made a rule that they should be quiet for some time while when they were on fight. And she disliked his pictures, although he made the best drawings of her. So all this is narrated through the imagination of the boy through his interior monologue, and this reveals the character to the reader. His liking for the girl of his age, his efforts to follow her and start a conversation, all this evoke a sympathy towards the boy in readers. The readers, they now want that the couple should unite, but then when the writer gives an abrupt ending, they are in shock. They want more. They seem to be stranded in the middle of the story. So, this way, the writer has achieved to create an interest in her work. This incomplete ending has achieved its aim to evoke thoughts in the readers. Now the door is open for the readers to complete the story according to their own imagination, to their own understanding. Therefore, the writer has left the end for the readers to comprehend and to finish for themselves. The stylistic variation of the narration, the linguistic quality, the interior monologue, the pace of the narration, the direct and the oblique narration of the story, all these things, they keep the interest of the readers, and thus the writer's aim is achieved. Hope you like my effort. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. This was done on a request. So you can well imagine that I do take the request, but have patience. I will be doing all the requests one by one. I need lots of comments and likes on this video, then only I will take other requests. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye.